Fancy. I like that. That one was smooth. You know, I've had a lot of jobs in the restaurant industry. Not like different positions, like serving jobs. I think I started, 2012? And not even to be cute or like sound dramatic because we're doing this thing. I'd say maybe like 20 jobs. Approaching, I'd say 20. 20 is a good number. And I mean, I get it. It's not a flex. I'm not flexing. I'm aware enough to understand the negative connotation of saying I've had that many jobs in a relatively short period. But I feel like it's just made me who I am. It's like all of these different experiences and exposure to all these different genres of food that come with different expectations and different guest types has really made it so that there's really nothing that could happen to me that I'm not ready for. The interesting way I'd like to think about it, because when you think negative connotation, right, you think to yourself, what's it going to look like on a resume when you go somewhere and you apply and you've got a short time period in between jobs, right? I get it. But the way I thought about this the other day, it's think about like body counts, like body count, right? Think of body count. So there's obviously like negative, we all know the negative connotations behind high body counts, right? Right. Okay, I get it. But you know, nobody seems to complain about body count when, you know, you're in bed and your partner makes your fucking toes curl, right? And makes you fucking blast off in 2 minutes. Nobody complains then, right?
No.
And how do you think your partner learned these things? Through experiences. So if you've ever eaten somewhere, you look at the person you're eating with, you're like, fuck, our servers got their shit together. You know what I mean? Like, wow, our servers fucking got their shit together. Well, they didn't learn that by working at one restaurant for 2 years.
Nope.
They learned that by going through the trenches and getting fired a couple times and walking out of jobs a couple times and dealing with a lot of different shit from different angles so that the person you see in front of you who's serving you is an amalgamation of like all of this experience. I want to talk about this because I think it's interesting.
Let's do it. Welcome to FancyBread. I'm Adrian.
I'm Ed.
And piggybacking on that, a good friend of mine recently said, either you win or you learn. Either way, you always win. And that's the reality, because a lot of people out there,
I like that.
they think it doesn't apply to them. And today we say, you're fired. Because invincible is no one. And let's talk about that a little bit, right? I had a lot of people like you. Mm-hmm. I also had plenty of jobs in my resume. And
what's your job count?
Honestly,
Approximately.
I would just throwing it out there, probably around you like 20 or maybe even a little bit more.
Right. It's important for people to realize.
I've been on the industry for over 20 years as well, so a little longer than you.
Right. So like, yeah. People hearing are like, oh, that's crazy. That's way too many jobs.
I mean,
Hey man, listen.
I go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's like, it's not that uncommon. At least double digits. You've been in the industry for 10 years. Definitely not uncommon to have double digit jobs.
You know, I met, there was someone that once said that you can be 5 years in a job and have 1 year of experience and 4 years of repeating the same thing. Right. So just because you say to yourself, oh, I have 10 years working in the same place I've been, no, you have 10 years repeating the same things that you've probably been doing. Hopefully not. And you learn from your mistakes and you move on. But a lot of people think they're invincible. And I've seen people fall. We fell. I'm sure we did so too. And we're going to get into that. But let's talk about some of those that you never thought that would be fired or let go. Right? Because I've shared on the show before how a corporate chef, a CDC, who was, a student of the name brand. This guy was the brand, and whoop, sexual harassment. Have a good day.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
I've had.
That's the thing, though. Like, sexual harassment in a restaurant is like a lot of things in life, all about timing, right? Because it's like, how common is sexual misconduct in a restaurant?
Super common.
Extremely common. It's you gotta pick and choose your spots. Me personally, I don't really like to fuck around with coworkers. The few times I have, they've turned into like
Never ends well.
unfucked up things, but it's extremely common, right? Little game of staring a little too long, and it's a little exciting. Yes, right or wrong, it's exciting,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You're fucking around with a coworker, and obviously you have to keep it on the low when you're at work. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. It's dumb, but it's fun.
To me, a goal working in this industry, I always say I want to work in the best
Yeah.
place, and the best place, and the best place, or the place that I get the most, and it's like going up the ladder. Obviously, what do I need? What do they want there that I don't have? Let me get this so I can get there. Right? Do I need to know someone? Do I need to know something? What is it that I need to prove to get there?
Yeah.
And as you start going up and up and up, there's different skills that are required for you to do so. And something that we do in a high end, very expensive restaurant is that yes, our job is to serve, but we are selected because we know how to cross lines and when to cross lines.
I was just about to say that.
It's imperative that you know when to look at someone and say something that's like borderline offensive,
absolutely,
or borderline intrusive, or just borderline creepy, or whatever you want to say it. We had throughout the experiences that we have acquired, we know, okay, I can push here. I'm going to make you buy that even though you don't want it, because I'm going to make her want it, or I'm going to make him want it, or something's good, because that's what we're here for. It's a business. We're there to sell. You know? We're there to take care of you, but we're there to sell. We're a business of hospitality.
It's funny you say that. Yeah.
As we cross lines with our guests, we also cross lines with each other. Because
habitual line steppers, as the late great Charlie Murphy would say. No, it's like, do you think a better employee would be somebody who's strictly by the book, and I'm talking about a fucking beam of light, who is just a prime example of an employee, the handbook made like human, or somebody who's a little dirty, but they've just got a lot of personality? Do or die. Don't get me in between shit. Do or die.
Well, that's
you're about to start answering the question.
You know how I am, more in the middle.
That's why I said do or die. This is sudden death.
You know what? Go. If I'm going to say do or die, I'd rather be a good employee.
So by the book, your beam of light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since you're giving me one or the other.
It's got to be do or die. I understand.
Yeah, I get it, because that's who you are.
I understand you may be giving me that answer, even though you feel certain
that I'm close to the middle. Yeah, but still.
But no. So thank you for answering the question.
You're welcome.
Me, I'd rather be dirty and personable. I thought about this today when thinking about this episode. Have you ever seen The Sandlot?
No.
The movie The Sandlot? No? I guess they didn't air that in Puerto Rico. So it's a cult classic.
It wasn't in estreno. Sábado de estreno.
Right. You guys are still listening to fucking Don Francisco over there. Who's my man? Sábado Gigante was my shit.
I think Die Hard play in estreno Saturday night, 9 p.m.
Right. You guys still had 56K modems back then. No, so like The Sandlot is a classic cult summer baseball like kid movie. So long story short, The Sandlot is about these kids, right? This ragtag group of kids, a Sandlot team, which is what it signifies.
Yeah.
And in one part of the movie, they get challenged to play against an organized team that has uniforms and they've got all like the equipment. So they organize to play. The Sandlot kids beat the shit out of these organized kids. So that's sort of like the way I think about a restaurant staff. I think I would prefer to work in a restaurant staff. Well, I know I would prefer to work in a restaurant staff that's made up of like Sandlot kids. Kids who bring something to the table, who know when to bend the rules, are a little dirty, but they hold their shit together.
Yeah.
Right? Because every one of us has worked with a functional drug addict. I'm talking about a guy or a girl who's really on the edge. But they stand in front of tables. They appear like they've got their shit together, which is really all you need, right? For the duration of someone's experience. And they get it done.
Yeah.
We work with somebody who barely speaks English.
Yeah.
The motherfucker doesn't know anything about the menu. Doesn't say 3 words to you for the whole night. And he sells his ass off.
Yeah.
His ass off.
I was just gonna say it's like a 3-point system, right?
Right.
I think that there's 3 things that matter in any job. But obviously, since we work in the restaurant industry, that's what we do. Right?
Yeah.
And those are very simple. These are the 3 things that are most important when you work in the restaurant industry. show up on time, look the part, and play or act the part. Simple as that.
Isn't that the same as the second one? Look the part and play the part?
No, because one is to look sharp, be presentable, the way that people perceived you, and also do your job, play their part. So there are some of those that may get there late because of whatever reason, like you mentioned, or may not necessarily look the best. But when they stand in front of those guests, you say, God damn, that guy can sell, right? And you say to yourself, you know what? We're going to let that slide. But obviously it's because he's got 3 points on that one, right? Like the other 2 points, he made up there, right? Some, depending on who you work for, they'll tell you what's important to them. Because at the end of the day, some places, all they care about is, are we making money? Are we taking care of our guests? How's our reviews? There's many aspects to a business, of course. But a small reality to those at work is that, can you do those 3 things? Or at least can you bring it in the other 2 areas if you're lagging in one?
Yeah, as long as your average is above a certain point. You know, I just have to say something. It's not related, but you're really stepping your tea game up here.
Yeah.
This is nice.
I'm trying.
Compared to that fucking pond water you served me a couple episodes ago.
Question. Since you've been on a lot of jobs, have you ever been fired?
Well, ever been fired? Yeah. Yeah, because, when you first start working, or when I first started working, I was a fucking snot-nosed brat who thought he knew everything.
At any of those times, did you felt invincible? Like you thought, man, no way in hell they're going to fire me. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that?
No. Well, for the times I got fired, they weren't a surprise. They didn't sneak up on me, My behavior was very conspicuous and I wasn't surprised when I was fired at all. But I learned this from you. It's like the 24-hour test. So whatever happens, you get fired and, at the moment you might be like, all right, acting kind of tough, but then in the back of your mind, you're like, shit, I wasn't expecting to get fired. I don't have a job lined up. Fuck, right? Okay, I got to get moving. And you figure it out. But how you feel the next day, I feel is a better representation of how you actually feel. And upon waking up 24 hours after getting fired, I've never had any issues.
It's funny because you said that you learned that from me, but I learned that from you because I got fired one time.
So who the fuck taught you?
You told me that, yeah. Because one day I got fired.
That's a history.
And I went to your place. I was like, fuck, man. And you stopped me. You were like, boop. Go home.
The 24-hour rule?
Tomorrow.
24-hour rule?
And I was like, what?
I thought I learned that from you.
No. I learned that from you. So let's fix that up.
Well, whoever was out there that gave me or Adrian that pearl of wisdom, thank you so much.
Because I passed it on, and it's very important. After you get fired,
it's the real deal.
Don't immediately react. 24 hours after, then ask yourself, what's my next thought going to be?
Usually the way you feel the moment you wake up. If you wake up and you stretch and it feels great, that job wasn't important to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, the correct way to do it is to line something up. In Florida, it's a right-to-work state, so you can get fired at any time. No reason. You could be a stellar employee, and you could get fired. Yeah. Doesn't matter. So,
which, by the way, I want to ask you and our audience as well, what is your preferred way, if any, to get fired, right? Is it via phone call? Is it when you arrive at work? Is it after you finish your shift and they sit you down and let you go? Do you prefer an email? What is your preferred way, if you were to choose to get fired? Let us know in the comments below. I want to hear that.
Well, I'll tell you right
now.
And I
ask you.
So you gave me 3 options. At home, before work, or after work. So there's one that I hope never happens, that they fire you before work when you get there. Like, why'd you make me? Why
you got me about?
Some of us live far from work. There's probably, and that'll be the day where you're stuck in traffic and you're pissed or something. Right? Or, I'm very often on 2 wheels, on a motorcycle or a scooter. So that'll be the day that it was pouring rain on your way to work or some shit. And then you get there, you dry off, you get dressed, and they go, hey, step into the PDR for a second. We have to talk to you. Fuck. My preferred mode of getting fired, if obviously we're on the topic, is email me or shoot me a text message and be like, listen, don't come to work today. HR will be reaching out to you. I'll be like, okay, it's time to find another job.
Yeah.
Do that. Then the second The silver medal goes to after the shift, because at least if it was a good shift, you made some money.
Yeah.
They can't touch your money.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least you went out with a bang.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that's nice.
What about you?
Because I had my fair share. I think that the first one that happened to me was via phone call, and that was rough. However, I will say thank you for not, having me get ready, get on the car, get over there and see your face. Because let me tell you something, I didn't like your face to begin with, bro. So, kudos to that. So I would say, phone call's nice. But now that you said the text message, I'm like, that's nice. That's nice. Just send me a little text. I don't even have to hear the tone of your voice, or when you call me and be like, oh, hey, awkward, be like, oh, Adrian, good afternoon. I'm here with X person as well, because there's got to be two. They can't fire just one person. There's got to be two people.
It has to be a second person.
It has to be a second person. So you're like, as sosoon as you walk in anywhere and you see two people, like the person that's hugging you and someone else, you're like,
yeah. If you ever walk into like a private dining room, if your restaurant has one, and there are two people, more than one person sitting down. Management sitting down. Something's up.
Something's coming down.
Something's up. That's the firing squad. That's the firing squad. And, nobody makes it. But hopefully you got a job lined up and everything works out.
Just to quickly fire into some people that we've seen getting fired in our industry. Like we said, head chefs, general managers, assistant general managers, employees of the year, employees of the month. Honestly, no matter who you are, anyone's replaceable. And I think that's the beginning of the end. Whenever you get to a point where you say to yourself, I show up on time, I look the part, my job is done.
No.
Who else is going to take care of guests this way or that way? Who else is going to do this or that? No. I think that's the beginning of the end, because at that point, you're telling yourself, I can do whatever I want. And let's be honest, sometimes you can get away with a lot as long as you do those things. As long as you do the things that the people above you want you to do.
Right.
And they let you get away with a lot. They say, it's okay. He's having a bad day, or, he's having a bad season. Things are going on. Yes, we get it. But the moment that you truly believe that you're untouchable, all it takes is one action.
Yeah.
Either you said something to the wrong guest, said something to the wrong manager, just anything you've done, all they have to do is circle back to one of those many things that everybody knows you do. We all know that you do them. And then just say, hey, next time he or she does that, just let him go. And not even that. They can just say, listen, we got to let you go. And if you ask, they'll be like,
I
really? I mean, which of all these reasons you want me to use?
Do I've never told you this. You were having a really bad day at work one day.
Yeah.
And you stormed out of the back of the restaurant and you kicked the door.
I know.
And it banged really loud.
Yeah.
And I
missed my toe.
I happened to be standing next to 3 managers when that happened. And they were just like, what's his problem?
I know.
And I stood up for you.
Thank you.
I stood up for you. I said, he's having a bad day. He's usually not like that.
I remember that clearly. My toe still remembers
he's
that.
He's having a bad day. He's usually not like that. And then all the managers kind of looked at each other, and that was the end of it, because they knew. I mean, Adrian's a sweetheart. Adrian was just having a really bad fucking day.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. If you are good at your job.
Yeah. Also, it was because they said to me, because I was sat down after that, I said, how can I get upset with you? Because you were upset because you care so much.
Yeah.
And you felt that the people around you didn't care. Like, I get it. That was wrong, but how can I be upset at that? Like, if it was because you were just being an ass.
Right.
But you care so much, because I do. I'm extra as hell.
Adrian suffers from giving a shit. It's a major affliction.
That's how it is.
I'm a little moderate in...
because I romanticize my guest experiences,
No way. You? No way. This magician over here? No way.
I sometimes see it. I mean, there's many ways of seeing it, but I sometimes see it as, when you get to, let's say you're meeting someone for the first time, right? And you want to make that First good impression.
Meeting them how?
Meeting a person. I mean, that's obviously people sit down. Most of the time you're meeting them for the first
You're
time.
talking about like a guest sits down.
Correct.
Oh,
But also it could
be
be like
specific.
when you meet a friend of a friend or someone on whatever app you want to use, right? You meet them for the first time.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, ooh, I'm going to come in, make my entrance, get them to know me, my appearance, etc. And they're going to think anything of you. And it's like, have you ever been on a date and said something and said, fuck, I fucked that up. Like I ruined that, right?
No.
No? So that's
You got to stick to your guns, man. You got to stick to your guns.
Exactly,
You
but
say
sometimes
something, say it with your fucking testiculos and stick with it. And if someone gets offended, learn, but don't feel bad about it.
and that should be the way for you to serve as well. But
Just
sometimes
fucking
you
say
say
it.
something and say, man, that was rookie.
it's all in
That was
context,
rookie, but that's
though.
okay.
It's all
but
in
I see those
context.
as, I romanticize, I guess, the guest interaction and think
Yes, you do.
at the end of the experience, if I made their experience better, you're getting tip. I'm going to give you an example for it, right?
Talk to me.
The other day I had this table of 4 guests, 3 gentlemen and 1 lady. And
A
obviously-
lady,
And obviously, the
Hold on.
lady and one of the guys was a couple.
a lady, or like a bimbo.
Bimbo.
There we go.
Yes. And the guy comes in.
You got to paint it clear, Bobby.
Balenciaga shirt, walking in like this, like a tower with his sunglasses,
Rich dad, poor dad. shit.
Exactly. And then he, comes in, I talk to them, I create a menu for them, offer suggestions, and you see how this person's defenses just either with the food or the experience or everything that's happening, you see the shoulders
Melted
they come
away.
down. Instead of sitting straight, he sits back,
Right.
arm around the girl, those glasses off on the table.
Mm-hmm.
You see the person's eyes, you see them starting to laugh, and you say to yourself, I fucking got you. You know what I mean? And I knew it was going to tip. Because when you take that down, baby, you did tip. Give me a hundy. For that table,
I don't think I've ever said that word. I've never said that word.
a hundy.
Hundy.
Científico, we call it in Puerto
I've
Rico.
never said the word hundy. But God bless you, sir. Adrian, you know what I like about your discourse, your stories?
What?
Is that my stories always tend to flirt with the idea of being like offensive.
Yeah.
Yours always flirt with being a little creepy. You know what I mean? And you're not creepy at all. Obviously, you understand I'm not trying to say that. But just like like a little sprinkle of creep. And mine is like 2 dashes of asshole. You know, it's like kind of like. So I think it's interesting if we could talk about some of like, because obviously we're implying that the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry is a high turnover industry. It's one of the highest there is. Let's get into some of the pros and cons of the restaurant industry being so high turnover.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
I think one of the pros of the restaurant industry being so high turnover is that you get rid of the trash. I've always said this to people in that a restaurant sort of naturally filters itself. One way or another, it like kind of finds an equilibrium. So if there's a piece or an employee in the formula that is not working, eventually, I mean, this is like general because, bad things happen to good people and vice versa, right? So there's always going to be an asshole at work that nobody likes. Nobody.
Yeah.
But who knows? They might have like a slightly upper management job or they might be a lead or something. So even though nobody likes them, it's not that they're untouchable because that's not the point we're making is that everyone is replaceable. Yeah. But eventually a restaurant will filter its way out. And I've said this to a lot of coworkers. Somebody will come up to me and be like, fuck, I hate John. And I'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, what do you mean? I'll be like, dude, you think you're the only person who thinks John's an asshole? Yeah. No, the energy is there. He's going to rub enough people the wrong way. Just come to work, do your job, fuck John. Sooner or later, you're going to come into work one day and John's going to be gone. That's the way it works. Yeah. So the good thing about that John getting kicked out is that, again, the restaurant gains a little bit more equilibrium. It filters its way into a more positive environment, conducive to camaraderie. So that's one of the good things about the turnover, that it's constantly filtering itself. That's what I love. That's what I love about the high turnover rate.
That is true. And also it allows you to bring the right people for that.
That's the thing. With new people come new perspectives. All of a sudden, somebody will come in that'll come with a technique from another restaurant, and then it'll be sort of adapted into the current like restaurant vibe, and it'll make things better. Like,
because listen, even if your name's on the door, that can be replaced too.
That's the thing.
Listen, Steve Jobs funded a company, and he got fired out of it. He got bought out. I mean, he eventually bought it again, but the point being, no one is replaceable.
Everyone's replaceable.
Yeah,
everyone's replaceable.
And that's one of the main reasons is because your values or you're not part of the vision of that company, or you're losing the money company. That's honestly the biggest way. So if you don't necessarily align with those, it's going to be the easiest way for you to get out the door. I also understand that there's certain particular jobs, I would say maybe on the front end, that are more based on your performance, and if you, like we mentioned, like you arrive on time, etc.
Yeah.
But as you move up, there are certain little things that could affect you more, like your views, your opinions, if someone likes you or not. If you posted something wrong, those could all be reasons for someone to say, "Yeah, I don't like the guy. Let's get rid of him. Or let's get rid of her."
Politics are real everywhere.
Everywhere.
Honestly,
And they'll just find whatever reason to let you go. Like we mentioned, the easiest one is crossing those boundaries. And obviously it's drugs or sex or opinions. Those are like the quickest way for you to get rid of someone. But obviously, again, being in an at will state, just let you go.
Politics are a real thing. I mean, yes, the model of professionalism is that you should go to a restaurant, work as an employee, and there should be no favoritism, but that's not the real fucking world. I wanted to ask you what you think some of the popular reasons that people leave restaurants are.
Money.
Money's number one.
Yeah.
Money is number one.
That's it. If you work in a place and you don't make enough and you can't make more because there's not the potential to make more money,
yeah,
then it is up to you
right
to leave. Because if you can pick more shifts, if you can get more responsibilities, anything that can help you gain that, then you got to go. It's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Another one that came up is people get affected by a toxic work environment.
Yes, I can see that.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It is the truth. Again, that goes to the whole play of the balance of the restaurant. Very quickly, a restaurant can become toxic.
Very
quickly. Personally, I'm human, but I do my best to not let something like that affect me. I'm there to work. I'm there to, I don't fool around with my coworkers the same way. Like there's some people you can fuck around with, others you can't. So I'll go to work and I'll adjust all my coworkers and have a great time. And if there's one piece of that puzzle that is trying to be toxic or give bad energy, I say fuck that person, and I just make my money and go home.
Yeah.
That's it.
Another one I would just jump in and say probably is there. It's just schedule, because
work hours.
If it doesn't allow you to, balance your life and what you do, then that's definitely another reason for you to say this is just not working.
I gotta go. One of the big things about working in a restaurant, one of the big pros is schedule. You work dinners. You have days free. You can not always. It's kind of weird because it's almost one of the bad things too. Scheduling is kind of like
I would do a whole
like you get your schedule Sunday night for the next week. Sometimes it's tough, but mostly speaking, like positively, you have a schedule that allows you to do things during the day, and usually a good restaurant is about money earned for hours worked. So you're usually making decent money and not working a ton of hours. But there's flip sides to that. There's restaurants you work at where you got doubles all the fucking time and your schedule is erratic, and it can be stressful.
Oh yeah.
It can be stressful. I've quit a job like that.
Yeah.
I've quit a job like that.
Yeah.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah. After COVID, I worked in a restaurant that was two restaurants, and one floor, second floor, two different restaurants. And after we reopened in COVID, they made the people who worked in the upper restaurant work in the downstairs as well. So you would have to come in, open, do lunch service downstairs with a completely different menu, polish, reset everything. Yeah. If you had time, then you had lunch, and then go upstairs, do the inner service all over again. And that was like 13, 14-hour shifts.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Sounds like it's got a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah. So, especially when you have to come down the stairs to get cocktails. Jesus. So, definitely a lot of reasons for you to say, not for me. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So, I say to all of those that are looking to either polish your skills as you should or trying to make yourself, better. Because again, if you don't bring it, that's your responsibility. And it's all about self-governance. You get what you put in. And I want to mention some things that will get you fired easily. And of course, it's up to you to work on those. Mm-hmm. Number one, being unreliable. We said it. Not showing up on time, missing your shifts, not calling. It's like the easiest way, the quickest way for you to get fired. It's like, why you're not here on time? It's your responsibility to do so. So if you're unreliable, you just lose trust, lose faith in you.
I got one. Have you ever fucked a manager?
No.
No?
No.
Like you haven't done it because you didn't follow through? Like everything was there, like everything was present. Like all you knew that all you had to do was like send that text message. And like you wrote the text message. And you were like,
it seems a little too personal.
And you were like, nah.
Are you sharing a story? You want to
No.
your heart?
No, I've never been involved with a manager ever.
No, neither.
Never. But you've never had the energy. The energy's never been present.
I mean, I would say that, but again, because the person I am and those lines that that you dance on, right? But
right, but every once in a while you'll do like a spin and you'll end up further on the other side of the line than you thought.
And you say to yourself, what up?
Right. Sometimes you'll do a little vueltica and you'll end up on the other side of the line.
Somebody told me I looked like Travolta the other day, so I was like,
and somebody will be there to catch you, I've personally never done it, but I was just wondering.
No, sir.
Continue. No, but I wasn't just a random question.
No, we spoke that. Never up. Lateral.
Yeah. It was a question because usually if you get involved with the manager, that tends to not end very well.
Never. It is an easy way for many to go up, but also a very easy way for you to go out the door. Another one is poor performance or lack of effort. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
If you don't make the sales, they're going to question, hey, what's going on? You're not making sales. Is it because you don't know the menu? Is it because you lack the talent, the personality? What's going on?
I feel like that's only at restaurants that don't make a lot of money.
True.
Not to be simplistic, like you don't have a lot of sales, the restaurant isn't making money. No, the restaurant isn't expecting to succeed based on your sole performance. If a restaurant is making money as a whole, it doesn't matter that one or two employees' check averages are a little lower.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it depends.
Yeah. It's like one of the most annoying times to work in a restaurant is when the restaurant isn't making a ton of money. Because then that's when managers start fucking micromanaging. That's when the deep cleanings come into play. I fucking hate deep cleanings. Hate them. The deep cleanings. Oh, guys.
One of the worst. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
Fuck you. Fuck you. That's when like, hey, guys, by the way, once a month, we're going to start doing deep cleanings now. You never hear that shit during high season.
Nope.
Never. You never hear that during season. So the check averages, I guess, so dependent, but that's extremely circumstantial.
Of course. Another one, violating company policies like harassment, confidentiality, out the door. If you can't be trusted.
I would say that's probably on the lower end of severity. It's just like we said, you got to know when to bend the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If someone got fired the moment they broke a rule, none of us would have jobs.
No.
We wouldn't have fucking jobs. Again, it's all circumstantial. If you're breaking a rule, but you're making money, you don't get on your manager's nerves. You want to be the person who, when you're working in your section, the managers go, "Oh, who's in that section? We don't even have to look over there tonight."
And here's one that's going to get you fired real quick. No questions asked. Dishonesty or theft. If you're caught lying or stealing, have a nice day.
Have I ever stolen anything from a restaurant I work at? No, I don't think so. One of the
I would say never let a manager come into your house.
One of the biggest issues. They probably have more shit than you do.
They probably do.
Managers have more shit in their home from places they work than the employees do.
Yeah, it's not like somebody ever had
Right.
like table
I would
mats
say,
or
I would say the
silverware
biggest thing stolen is probably silverware. People probably have entire sets of silverware from a restaurant they work at.
or like a detail too.
Right.
Maybe some chairs.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. The only time I've had silverware from my restaurant at home is I've forgot it in a to-go box.
Yeah,
So I put the to-go box in my bag, and I didn't.
I might
I
as well
didn't.
just.
I didn't.
I can't like it.
Might as
I'm
well,
gonna need one more.
might as well keep it. Might as well keep it.
Yeah, but that mean if you take I've just said it, they're not gonna kill you for that.
Right. I heard a story once of this guy who it was a sommelier at a restaurant on the beach, and he got fired, and then he came back to the restaurant, fucking George Costanza style, was like, "Oh, I thought we were just kidding, right? I was just joking," because like he stormed out of the restaurant, was like, "Fuck you guys," walked out, and he came back the next day like it was nothing. And when they were like, "No, you're fired," he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, then I just got to go upstairs and get some stuff that I forgot here yesterday." They were like, "Fine, no problem, but please leave after you get your things." This motherfucker went into the wine room and stole bottles of wine, took them with him. I'm talking about big shit, like bottles. Like there was a warrant out for his arrest. I'm talking
Whoa.
about like bottles of DRC and like First Growths and stuff. If for anyone who doesn't know what those are very expensive bottles of wine. Motherfucker just walked in, grabbed the bottles, and walked out. So yeah, I mean, shit like that will get you fired.
Yeah.
But little things like silverware and stuff like that, that's not that big a deal.
But I guess that goes into the last one I got. It was just disrespecting customers or colleagues. Because honestly,
Blatantly, yes.
if you physically push anyone,
No,
you're gone.
Can't do that.
And if you're the person being pushed and you push back, you might be gone as well. We've seen that happen too.
Yeah, you might be. I've seen
Sucks.
2 coworkers get 86 because they just got into a pushing match.
And
They didn't even swing. I was like, if you're gonna get fired, you might as well punch him in his face.
yeah, but that's again. Sometimes we get comfortable with each other, and I mean, it's very normal that we go into a restaurant and we heat each other or we talk shit to each other.
Yeah,
and
we
sometimes it gets out of hand.
It gets a little cold, so we have to heat each other.
We heat each other.
You know what? This brings to light something else. It's like all these stories we're talking about, restaurant employees can be a little bit rowdy, a little bit dirty on the edges. Think of it this way. I would rather a restaurant be staffed by like pirates, like fucking pirates. Like people who are just out on the seas and they're having a good time, and every once in a while they gotta fucking blow a cannon into another ship and take everything and shit out. Like that's what, again, a functional bunch of misfits is what, in my opinion, a restaurant staff should be. Right? Nobody you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, you've seen that fucking movie?
That's exactly.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, that came in estreno the other day.
Coño, one.
The first one, only the first one.
Right. You want to be on the Black Pearl, right? Not with the skeletons. After the Aztec gold thing, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be like Norrington. You don't want to be the guys like on the English boats with the fucking uniforms and shit. You don't want that. You don't. And like I said, I've been to certain 3 Michelin star restaurants where you would think that would be the vibe. But no, it's not. I mean, it can be, I guess. But like at certain ones I've been to, like even at those places, they are selective about their formality. My server was like a cool guy. I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And he was like, "Hart." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Hart." I was like, "Oh, my motherfucker." And this is at a 3-star restaurant. And the guy was just cool and shit, right?
You got it.
So yeah, pirates. Nobody wants to go to a restaurant staffed by a bunch of uppity fucking tight-ass.
who watched Pirates of the Caribbean and was rooting for the English? Like, yeah, get them, get those pirates.
Nobody. Right?
Everybody want to be a pirate.
Want to be a
live the free life,
swashbuckler.
have a good time, plunder some booty.
Tortuga. Nah, it's the truth, man. When you get served by somebody, there's a lot of things that go into your mind. Like, when I'm sitting down to eat, I don't want to get served by somebody who I don't want to have a conversation with. Even if I don't want to talk to the person, because again, I'm there to eat. Nothing else matters. But at the very least, if I'm sitting at a table with people and my server comes up, I could tell right away 3 words into a spiel. I'm like, oh God.
You see what I mean about first impressions now and the romanticism about it?
No, I don't romanticize it. I just say no, no. Or I'd be like,
Yeah, but that's the whole
I'll be
point.
like, she's
when
cool.
someone
Or he's
understands you
Or he's
or
cool.
knows what you want without even you knowing what you want and then gives you that, just don't forget to tip.
right.
But finally, since we spoke about those skills and about the things that you shouldn't do, because it's the easiest way for you to learn what to do is what not to do. The other aspect of it is being, like you said, it's being a good coworker, right?
Right.
Or not just a coworker, a good host. Because if you right now ask yourself this, if you are a server or if you work in anything right now,
Yeah.
ask yourself, if you were to lose your job today, where can you work tomorrow? And if you don't have the answer to that, maybe you're not that good at all.
Right.
Because let me tell you something, and I don't say this to like pat myself on the back or to be better than anyone, but at least I know of some people that have told me, yo, if you ever need a job, you give me a call. Right? And if you don't have those people that are willing to put their word for you, or even their word for you for someone that you are recommending, then at that point you say to yourself, either you as a person or as a coworker or you as an employee are leaving a lot to say to others. So work on those networking skills.
Yeah. This brings to light 2 major questions.
Go for it.
1 question, 2 major parts. Would you rather be a good coworker or a good employee? And here is my definition of both of these things. A good coworker is someone who doesn't necessarily shine when it comes to side work. Kind of bends the rules here and there more often than not. But they're dependable. They're dependable. And I don't mean for the company. I mean for you on the floor.
Got it.
You're in the weeds. You could turn to this person and be like, yo,
That felt a little personal. Go ahead.
nah. Yo, I'm in the weeds. Go get that order for me. Got you. Yo, I need somebody to cover this shift. Got you.
Gotcha.
Yo, fuck. This table, this and that. They'll cover up for you. Yo, clock me in. I'm 30 minutes away, but please clock me in. Got you.
Don't do it, by the way. You shouldn't do it.
Got you. That's a good coworker. But, as far as the employee handbook goes, this person doesn't necessarily hit all of the bullet points. The good employee does the opposite. The good employee is by the book, like a shining example of professionalism. They do everything as it should be done. They lead by example. And again, I'm not trying to give you bias,
Of course.
but I have to throw in my personal opinion. They're kind of like a narc. You know what I mean? You can't talk about a lot around them. You can't talk about things you did or things you're planning on doing. But they're fantastic employees. So which one do you identify as? Because I think the answer is obvious.
Not really, my friend.
Really? Go ahead.
Well, obviously, because you want a black and white, and it's so hard.
Thank
I did
you.
mention that I tend to go on the employee side.
You gotta go.
However, I do realize that at times I've been a much better coworker than I've been an employee as well.
Yeah.
Like you dance between those lines at times, my brother. Sometimes you say to yourself, who
Absolutely.
do I need to appeal to, right? And that's also another way for you to get to your goals. Because if you want to be an exemplary employee, you need to be able to dance on both those lines. You need to be able to do your
Absolutely.
job whenever it's needed to
Absolutely.
be done, and also be able to pick up for your coworkers and be empathic to your coworkers. And that's where I try to dance. Obviously, that will be my answer. But if you want a black and white, I think that the way that I sound, anyone can pick up and say, I think you'd be a better employee. But
Yeah.
some would say that I'm a better coworker.
And I'm sorry, hearing myself, I know I didn't really make it even because I'm so strongly a believer that I'm a better coworker than I am an employee. But I swear I meant to make
course.
them even,
Yeah.
just for the sake of
You need
other people
one
listening.
choice.
Right, but no, I'm very disinterested in being a good employee. But I still have a job, so I'm a good enough employee. But I'd much rather, if I have to choose, I'd rather be a good coworker any day. But check this out. You know what bothers me? When people who were ex-coworkers, because we're on the networking thing.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't spoken to this person in a while. And they aren't the best employee or the best coworker, but they were decent enough. You haven't spoken to them in like 2 years. And then all of a sudden, this is the way it always happens. All of a sudden you go to work one day and they're in the building. They're in the fucking building. And of course they see you and they're like, oh, what's up? Because it's all love. You know, what's up, man? How you doing? What's up? Oh, yeah, I'm here interviewing, you know. Who's the GM here? Who's the GM here? And I go, fuck, I see where this is going. Mike? Oh, yeah. Mike told me to come in and have my resume, you know, so, and then they never stop there. It's always like, so, how's the money here? How you guys doing here? And you're like, man, I love you, but you're not getting this fucking job. You're not getting this job. And you guys know who you are. If you're not self-aware enough to know if you are the kind of employee who is worth being vouched for, you got to wake the fuck up. You got to wake up. You got to be a little bit more grown than that. Like, you know who you are. You know you're not the kind of person that I'm going to be like, yo, yeah, hire this dude. Great employee. Because you're not that person. You might be a wonderful person, but I'm not going to vouch for you. I'm not going to do it. So if
it doesn't come from me,
I'm not going to do it, man. I mean, I'll be honest. I have a sentimental weakness for that particular situation because this might be somebody you worked with, you know. It's like, fuck, man, I don't have the heart to tell this person. Like,
I know, it sucks.
Go apply. But I'm not.
Yeah, we're not looking at the time.
I'm not
sorry.
saying a word. Mm-hmm. I'll just be like, yeah, man.
Because when someone that you know,
right,
and you're like, oh, man, how you doing? And they say, oh, yeah, I'm kind of like looking for a job for X, Y reason. You say to yourself, let me ask.
But you know what kind of employee they are.
Exactly. At that point, you'd be like, let me ask. Because the last person that I recommended, you know, that's what happened. They were like, oh, I'm going through this. I'm taking my time. And I'm like, you let me know when you're looking for a job.
Right.
I'll put in a good word.
I guess that's why it's important.
Highly recommend it to you, my brother.
I guess that's why it's important, though, to be a little of both, a good coworker and a good employee. Because in a situation where that old coworker is looking for a job, I think the reason that I didn't vouch for them is because they were a terrible employee. So you can't be purely one or the other. You have to be some of both.
Yeah. If I were to recommend someone, it's because they're a good employee. And then after, work on your coworker study.
Well, if they weren't a good coworker, I wouldn't have been saying what's up to them in the first place.
Oh, excellent point.
I walk into the restaurant and I have an ex-coworker of mine who was a great employee, but we never went out for a drink. We never talked shit. We never talked about anything other than work. I'm going to be like, oh, what's up, bro? Give him a fist bump and be like, all right, then just keep doing my thing.
It depends on who you need on that ship. Do you need someone firing the cannons or you need someone telling jokes?
Nah.
Right?
Because a purely good employee.
Because like I always like to say, we all have a roles to play.
Yeah, we do. And that person who's a purely good employee but not a good coworker, their role to play is getting a job at a different restaurant. Yeah, because like if you're a purely good employee, that's boring as fuck, man. It's boring as fuck. You got to be a little bit.
That's why things are always black and white. So you always got to aim for that middle line and dance between those lines as we servers do.
Right.
I don't remember what company it was, if it was Google. I mean, don't quote me on this one, unfortunately. I won't say their motto or the vision, but their idea, what they push to is they say, we want to know where the line is. And when we find it, we're just going to dance right next to it. Mm-hmm. That's what we got to do. At times.
I get it.
You got to pick your lines.
I get it. Like if it's the speed limit is 50, you're going to go 48.
In the end, I like to bring this point again. Self-governance. I like to tell this to my nephew. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Work on your skills and your network, because the best way for you to get stronger is to address your flaws and learn the skills needed to overcome those challenges. End of the day, those doors will open with or without you. And to our brothers and sisters who have moved on, we wish you well and we thank you for your service.
Salud.
Thank you for listening.
Take care, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.